Welcome to Speak Up and Stay Alive Radio, how to survive hidden healthcare and hospital dangers with author, speaker, and your host, Pat Rulo. Pat has over 20 years experience as a professional public speaker, and for the next hour, she's going to be your healthcare and hospital survival guide. Each week, you will say, "Oh," as Pat exposes and explores little-known hospital hazards, delves into the deep waters of dangerous healthcare practices, picks the brains of her good-looking and influential guests, all guaranteed to keep you and your family safe in today's fragmented healthcare system. The Speak Up and Stay Alive radio program is intended to advance health literacy by making you aware of healthcare and hospital dangers. The program is for informational purposes only and is not intended for use as diagnosis or treatment of a health problem or as a substitute for consulting a licensed medical professional. Participating as a program listener, guest, or caller should not be considered medical advice. References to any entity, product, service, website, or source of information should not be considered as an endorsement. And now your host, Pat Rulo.
I can't bear you no more, baby. I got too much pride. But I'll survive.
Hello, I am Pat Rulo, and I am so happy to hostess this next hour where I will serve you a generous helping of everything you need to know to help you and your loved ones stay safe during any doctor or hospital visit. Who am I? I am you. I'm every person who has ever been in a hospital or doctor's office and has received less than acceptable treatment. I am you, the person who got an infection during a simple outpatient procedure. I am you, the patient whose questions are ignored, who struggles to speak to the doctor as he or she has one foot out the door. I am the missed heart attack, the hospital-acquired infection, the wrong diagnosis, and the unanswered call button. This show is not about pointing a finger at hospitals, doctors, or nurses. It's not about a political agenda or party preferences. It's about you, your family, your friends, and your loved ones. It's about becoming informed of all the hospital hazards, what they are, how and why they happen, and what you can do about them. This show is about empowerment. It's about doing everything you can to stay safe during any and every healthcare encounter. Speak Up and Stay Alive Radio. Yes, that's OH with an exclamation point, will cause you to say, "Oh," as each week we delve into little-known hospital and healthcare dangers. When you understand why something happens, you are better equipped to do something to change it and prevent it from happening to you. If enough people begin to speak up, together, each of us can alter the current precarious path of today's unsafe healthcare practices. Well, on today's post-Thanksgiving Day show, we will be talking turkey on a number of important topics. Joe, do you know why they call it talking turkey?
I have no idea.
Maybe I'm going to make crazy gobbling sounds?
Oh, something like this?
I think I've got an idea. Let's use that sound for today's free book contest. For all you listeners, every time you hear the turkeys talking turkey, keep track and add them up. Then at the end of the show, either call or email the correct answer. And the first person with the correct answer will receive a free signed copy of my book, Speak Up and Stay Alive, The Patient Advocate Hospital Survival Guide. And we had two Halloween winners, Zaneta and Darlene. They both received a free book. So keep track. And the one you just heard, or the two you just heard, counts as the first ones. Email speak at speakupandstayalive.com or call 440-725-5462. And if I cannot answer your call, leave a message with your name and phone number, and I will call you back. And now, here's the hospital hazard of the week. Drug-induced dementia. November is the National Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month, and to recognize that, I want to talk about something we hear very little about, yet it is common and quite serious, and is due to the overzealous prescribing of drugs and also because of improper monitoring of medication use. Here's a typical scenario. Let's say a healthy person named Jim goes to the doctor for a checkup and is told his cholesterol is high. So Jim starts taking medication, which causes side effects. This leads his doctor to give him a second drug to treat those side effects. Then that second drug causes new side effects, so the doctor prescribes a third drug to treat the side effects of the second one. And before you know it, Jim's health is spiraling downward, and he soon needs assistance to live. And everyone just chalks it up to old age. Poor Jim has Alzheimer's. Now, this is important to note. Drug-induced dementia is different than age-induced dementia. And the odds of a drug-induced dementia increase the more medications a person takes. Here are a few reasons why an older patient might experience drug-induced dementia. Number one, many drugs are harmful to brain tissue, resulting in decreased brain function, exhibited by symptoms such as memory loss or other types of cognitive decline. Number two, as people age, they become more susceptible because the kidneys and liver, those organs responsible for clearing drugs from our system, can become impaired, and therefore they do not do the proper job, allowing the drugs to remain in our body longer than they should. Number three, as we age, we get thinner and more frail, making a normal dose for a 30-year-old way too much for a smaller body to handle. And finally, many older folks experience some level of dehydration, again, making it difficult to excrete these drugs from the body. I'd like to mention some known culprit drugs. A recent study listed 22 different categories of drugs that can cause symptoms that mimic Alzheimer's, plus 14 different over-the-counter drugs that also can cause these symptoms. Some problem drugs are tranquilizers, sleeping pills, sedatives, things like Ambien and Lunesta that we see advertised all over the TV, as well as narcotic pain relievers, prednisone that's used for allergies and asthma. Anesthesia can cause lingering confusion and brain fog, and even antibiotics such as Cipro and Levaquin. In fact, the side effects of those two antibiotics include irreversible damage to the central nervous system. Research shows that Cipro is highly concentrated in brain tissue. So, what can you do? Because cognitive impairment caused by drugs is so frequently overlooked, it is important that when symptoms of confusion, altered concentration, or difficulty thinking occur, that you and your physician review any medications you are taking to determine if any of them might be the cause. Fortunately, if the cause is a medication, your symptoms should go away or become less severe after stopping the drug. And as a side note, do not stop these medications cold turkey. No pun intended. You need to wean from them slowly and not abruptly. Because seniors often see multiple doctors who may prescribe drugs without knowledge of current medications, it is important to at least use the same pharmacy chain. That way, all medications are in the computer system, and if a doctor prescribes a drug that may not play well with current drugs, the pharmacy system will flag it and your pharmacist can make you aware of it. I'd say get to know your pharmacist. And finally, drug-induced dementia is an important syndrome to recognize because in almost all cases, it can be reversed or returned to the pre-drug state by stopping the offending drug. With the holidays upon us, if you are visiting an older adult, take some time to review his or her drugs and be on the lookout for side effects that mimic more serious problems like dementia. And with that, let's hear some legal news you can use. This holiday season, take some time again to sit down with your older adult family members and discuss elder law issues. What is elder law? Listen as I spend the next 2 minutes with Pat Schraff, an elder law attorney at Schraff and King, located on Somme Center Road in Willoughby Hills, Ohio. She always has the answers. Welcome to the show, Pat.
Thank you for having me.
Pat, what exactly is elder law?
Elder law focuses on the needs of people primarily 60 and over because there are special things that people need at that point in time that they may not need at other times in their life. And those include a focus on long-term care, estate planning, where will my assets go if I pass away, who will take care of managing my affairs if I pass away, if I become disabled, and focusing also on different types of benefits that may be available or become available as you age, like Medicare, Medicaid, VA benefits, those types of things.
When should a person think about visiting an attorney and discussing elder law issues?
As a person ages, they should consider seeing an elder law attorney. They should consider what they want to happen in the future. They should realize that life does end, and what do they want to happen in that event.
And it might be a good idea for younger family members, children perhaps, to talk with their parents about this and set up an appointment together to take care of some of these issues ahead of time.
That is important, and it's a difficult conversation often for children to raise the issue. So I would urge parents to initiate that conversation, but when they don't, children should sit down and talk to their parents so that their wishes, the parents' wishes, are protected and preserved, and that they can be enforced by the children when the parent is no longer able to make their own choices. There may be a need for powers of attorney for health or for finances. There may be directives like a DNR, healthcare power of attorney, living will. There may be last will and testament, a trust. There are many, many tools in the toolbox of an elder law attorney to assist people in reaching their goals.
Lots of valuable information. I'm sure there's a lot more to know. Pat, how can our listeners find out more about you and Schraff and King?
They can reach us at 440-585-1600 or online at www.schraffking.com.
As usual, it's always a pleasure to visit with you, Pat.
Thank you.
After the show, be sure to visit the website speakupandstayalive.com for more life-saving information. Plus, that is where you can purchase my book, Speak Up and Stay Alive, The Patient Advocate Hospital Survival Guide. Bring the book to the hospital with you. It's the best way to stand out, and in a positive way. And remember, we donate 2 handmade pillowcases to either a troop member in Afghanistan or to a local veterans shelter for every book sold, with your name on it as the donor. So for a mere $20, you benefit, and so does some well-deserving warrior. And with the holidays around the corner, don't send the routine shirt that doesn't fit or a plastic gizmo or gadget. Give a meaningful and useful gift that really says, I care. Give the gift of healthcare safety. Purchase the book, The Patient Safety Logs. Hey, and throw in some icebreaker cards. It's a one-size-fits-all present that everyone needs. You can order online at speakupandstayalive.com. Or you can request by email at speakupandstayalive.com or call me 440-725-5462. And now, back to the show. You're listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive Radio. I am your hostess, Pat Rouleau, and if you know me, you know that I only bring you the best of the best when it comes to our guests. And today's guest has an especially important message about improving the quality of health care. Bonnie Kantor-Burman was appointed director of the Ohio Department of Aging in January 2011. As director, she is helping to lead the state's efforts to transform health care and long-term care for its citizens. Director Kantor-Burman has advocated for new approaches that emphasize quality, person-centered care while realizing cost savings. Her goals are to reform and enhance the quality and efficiency of our healthcare system and to strengthen long-term care options that give elders more choices about their care. Welcome to our show, Bonnie.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Bonnie, the phrase person-centered care is such an obvious, basic, and common-sense way to treat people, yet at times it simply doesn't happen. And our show is all about improving our quality of care and health care outcomes. So will you explain to us what you mean by the words person-centered care?
I'd love to. Person-centered care is really the kind of care that each of us would want for ourselves or for a loved one. It's the kind of care that is based on relationship, self-determination, choice, and purposeful living. And you might say, that's kind of odd. We're talking about long-term care. That's really just the point, that when you are receiving care, whether it is in the home or whether it's in a nursing home or assisted living or anywhere in between, it is your home. The person receiving care is the boss. They are the ones that get to choose how it should be delivered, when it should be delivered, and just everything about their daily life. When I say person-centered care, it's not only about the person that's receiving the care, it's also about the person who's delivering the care. If we're going to truly have person-centered care, we have to do what I call flattening the hierarchy, which means you have to ensure that decision-making is placed in the hands of the person who is the closest to the resident or the consumer or the patient. If the person who's really doing the wonderful and very difficult duties every day, they know more about your loved one than anybody else. When we listen to what they have to say, we're catching things earlier. When we listen to what they have to say, their jobs are enhanced so that it's actually good business sense, because people who are enjoying their jobs are going to stay longer. So what we're able to measure, workforce retention when you practice person-centered care, and sure enough, retention goes way up, so the cost of doing business goes down. What we know, Pat, is that person-centered care is good for the person who's receiving it, not just improving quality of life, but actually keeping them healthier. It's good for the staff because they're happier and more productive, and it's good business for the organization as well.
If you develop a relationship with someone and you almost feel like it's your mom or dad, of course you're not going to be so inclined to leave and go elsewhere, because now you have that relationship and you feel that you're doing some good for that other person.
Absolutely. So I'll use as an example, if somebody needs to have a bath and you don't know them well and you're not reacting to them in a way that makes sense to them, they may be argumentative, and that may result in something that, I don't like the term, but I'll use it, behaviors. Mm-hmm. The kinds of things we say there's something wrong with her. No, what's wrong is you don't know her. So actually the work goes so much more smoothly, and it's just so much more gratifying when you know the person. The other way that makes person-centered care work, you really have to abide by a basic principle that's called consistent assignment. Oftentimes in home care or in more of a institutional setting, you'll have staff that will rotate. If you stop and kind of scratch your head and you say, I wonder why they do that. If they have consistent assignment, which means it's the same caregivers for the same residents or individuals each day, relationships develop, they know what your patterns are, and they can very quickly know when something's wrong because they just have that sixth sense, just like we all do at home.
Sure, it's easier for them to take ownership of that resident's plans and to basically work with them as a team, I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. They are a team. But it's interesting that you just said responsibility, because when you have person-centered care, you do delegate to the front line or the direct care staff, but there also has to be accountability and responsibility. You can't have a culture of blame. You have to have a culture of empowerment where people are willing to take risks and try something. They have to be willing to try new things, and if something doesn't go exactly right, they're not going to get in trouble for it immediately. If you think about nursing home care, and let's say a loved one has just gone in there, people used to expect a call, and someone would say, I'm the director of nursing, or I'm the social worker. I want to let you know that your mom is adjusting well. I don't want to hear that. What we want to hear is the phone rings, hi, I'm the social worker. I want to let you know that we are adjusting well to your mom.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
And to be able then to say, and this is what we're doing because we understand that she likes to have tea in bed before breakfast, so we now bring it to her. Those are the kinds of things that we're looking to hear. And we actually even have checklists for families, the kinds of questions to ask so that you know you're getting this kind of care.
And that was going to be my next question to you, that consumers of care in any setting should expect excellence. Can you empower our listeners with any additional insights and questions that they can and should be asking, whether it is the patient or a close family member who's overseeing that patient's care?
Well, I think the first thing that you just said is the key to it, and that is to expect excellence. And somehow we have this idea that we can just accept mediocrity. And what we're doing in Ohio is we are raising the bar on quality so that everyone has the right to expect the highest quality for their loved ones. And so your question is, what are the kinds of things that consumers or their loved ones should look for? I'll just give you a couple of examples that may surprise some of your listeners. A question such as, will my loved one be awakened at a set time in the morning, or will she have a choice? I give you that question because I don't think most people think that they should have a choice about when they get up in the morning in a nursing home, as an example. Believe it or not, the federal regulations, as well as our state mandates, say, of course you should have a choice and you should be getting up when you want to get up. That's just one example of how we think about choice. You should be able to have choice of when you get up, when you go to bed, what you eat, when you bathe, how you bathe. You should be listening for answers such as, well, residents may choose to sleep as long as they want without being awakened. These are the kinds of answers you should be looking for. Can my loved one be given a bath or shower when he or she chooses? Should listen for things like, yes, we can accommodate a person's lifelong patterns. Plus, we understand the special needs of someone with dementia. So we have many creative ways to keep people clean, so we can adapt to their preferences and still maintain cleanliness. These are the kinds of answers that you should be listening for. But most important is to even think of asking these kinds of questions.
People don't realize they have the rights. My mom was in a rehabilitation facility, and they used to wake her up at 3 o'clock in the morning to give her a bath. And I heard of other folks that were having the same situation, so I felt empowered enough to say, this is not right. My mother never took a bath at 3 o'clock in the morning. We're not going to be doing it here. But so many other families didn't even know that they had that voice, that they were able to say that. So it's good to hear you reinforcing that for us.
I'm glad you were able to intervene, but so many people don't think about it. And if they rely on their loved one to report it or to say, if you say, Mom, is everything okay? The answer is most likely going to be, yes, dear, because they don't want to cause trouble. This is a generation that might want to please people, might be fearful of retribution. And so what we want to do is also let residents know you have rights. You have the ability to be at home wherever you are.
Thank you for that. If you're just finding us, you are listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive Radio, the #1 show on healthcare and patient safety. I am your hostess, Pat Rulo, and today we are talking with Bonnie Kantor-Burman, the director at the Ohio Department of Aging, and we are learning about patient-centered care. You're the director of the state of Ohio Department of Aging. What is the state doing, if anything, to reward institutions and facilities for excellent quality of care?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. We actually did something that is very unique. We're very proud of it, and we call it raising the bar in nursing homes. And that we took approximately 10% of the money that the nursing home would get from Medicaid, and Medicaid pays for most of our nursing home care. And we said, we're going to take this 10%, and you can get it back if you meet certain quality standards or meet certain quality incentives. And they are all person-centered. We gave the nursing homes 20 measures and said for the first year, what we need you to do is meet 5 of these that were from different categories such as choice, staffing, clinical practice, and the environment. And we would assess whether they met them. And our goal would be for all nursing homes to be able to achieve these quality measures. We developed a website for them and gave them all of the guidance they would need to be able to fulfill this mandate, and we're so excited that so many nursing homes took us up on it. This does not mean that every nursing home is providing the highest quality of care. What it means is that we're turning this ship to say, in the state of Ohio, with our state money, we're only going to pay for quality care, and we're going to help nursing homes get there, and we're going to incentivize them to get there. What's interesting is that what we know from national studies is that when you provide this kind of care, a nursing home's occupancy goes up. So it's actually, as I said earlier, good business sense. So of the 20 indicators, they're really very interesting, some that you would think of, some that you wouldn't. I mentioned earlier things like choice in dining and choice in bathing, but one that's most important to me is eliminating overhead paging. And the way I describe that to people is, do you have overhead paging in your home? And I say, no, only when my husband yells at me from the downstairs to get him something. And they say, well, this is the elders and other folks who are in nursing homes. It's their home, and there are other ways to communicate. You were talking about your mom being awakened at 3 a.m. for a bath. What about all the times that you hear this overhead page? So that's a quality incentive that people may not think about. Others include our satisfaction scores. We have clinical indicators such as the rate of pressure ulcers, the rate of pain, the rate of restraints. So we're very excited to be able to incentivize our nursing homes in our state to provide the kind of care and caring that all of your listeners and all of their families deserve.
Well, I applaud you for that. This is good news. What if a patient or a family member experiences a level of care that is less than acceptable? Is there a reporting location? What are their alternatives?
We have in Ohio an incredibly robust, just incredible ombudsman program. And if you call our ombudsman program with a problem, they will investigate, they will help you out in any way. If someone goes to www.aging.ohio.gov, they will find a link to our ombudsman program. Even if someone just goes to that site and calls the Ohio Department of Aging, we are there to serve. So we will make sure that the right person gets the complaint. And, of course, we always love to hear good things as well.
Are there any resources that the state offers to help folks be involved with patient-centered planning?
I would suggest that folks go directly to our website, which again is aging.ohio.gov. We have links there to all of these kinds of resources, so we really are a one-stop shop.
And Bonnie, do you have any final words of advice for our listeners today?
My final word of advice is to think of older adults not as seniors, but as our elders. And our elders who have built this great state, built our families, built our communities, and they are individuals that are still contributing, thriving, and deserving of so much. And so it's a word we'd love if people started using more so that it really connotes the kind of respect that we have for them.
Well, thank you, Bonnie, for sharing some exciting ideas and resources with us today. And, with the holidays upon us, many of us will be spending time with our elders, family, and friends, making it the perfect time, I think, to assess that person's situation and think in terms of person-centered care. And I hope our listeners can use your resources to help them move their loved one's life in that positive direction. And I so appreciate your being with us to share this information today.
Thank you for having me.
You're listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive Radio. Coming up, emails, some Thanksgiving humor, and of course, everyone's favorite game, Fear the Wheelchair. You don't want to miss that.
We interrupt our program to bring you a special broadcast.
Infection Prevention for Dummies.
For the next 2 minutes, listen as I talk with our in-house infection prevention expert, Darrel Hicks, author of the book, Infection Prevention for Dummies. Welcome, Darrel.
Good to be here.
I have a question about antibacterial gels and hand sanitizers. I've heard that they are not effective in killing the C. diff spore if you have that on your hands. Is that correct?
That's correct. You have to use soap and soap and water doesn't kill it, but suspends it into the soap and then rub your hands at least 20 to 25 seconds. And we teach people to sing the happy birthday song. At least that will give you an idea of how many seconds it takes to really do a thorough job of removing those spores from your hands. And just because people wear gloves doesn't mean that they are protected. The first line of defense for protecting yourself or for making sure your hands are clean is that you have to wash with soap and water. But the gel, the alcohol-based hand sanitizers are not effective against the C. diff spore. A lot of times you'll see them either put something over that sanitizing dispenser in the patient's room if it's a C. diff isolation, so that people don't have a false sense of security by using that to clean their hands with.
What gets rid of it, or at least keeps it at bay, is good old-fashioned hand washing.
Yep, it's the best advice your mother ever gave you.
Yay.
Wash your hands.
Darrel, so much information. How can our listeners learn more about you and what you do?
Well, they can visit my website, and that would be Darrel@DarrelHicks.com, and there's a lot of information on there, and they can order the book there, but they can also submit questions to me, and I usually answer those the same day that I get them. So if anyone has a particular question they want to submit to me, I will get back to them right away.
Well, thank you so much, Darrel, for sharing this important information with us today. Your book, Infection Prevention for Dummies, is necessary for anyone who wants to promote well-being and prevent infections, especially in a healthcare setting. Thank you for being here today. I'm sure we're going to have many more questions of you in the future.
Okay, Pat. Thank you very much.
You're listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive Radio. I am your hostess, Pat Rulo, with a show stuffed with more goodies than your Thanksgiving turkey. For some reason, this week's emails were nuttier than last Thursday's pecan pie. I'm not sure why, but several folks sent Thanksgiving jokes, so I thought I'd share them. Do you have some of those handy, Joe?
Sure do, but don't beat the messenger.
We didn't write these, right?
That's correct. Mary56 at Hotmail sent, Pat, why did the turkey get kicked out of the hospital?
'Cause he gobbled up the medication?
No, because he used foul language.
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
She also sent, what did the mother turkey say to her disobedient children as they ran around the doctor's office?
Oh, do you have any idea, Bob?
Sit down and be quiet.
I don't know. What, Joe?
If your father could see you now, he'd turn over in his gravy.
Oh. Well, Joe, I was going to serve French fries with Thanksgiving dinner, but Bob sat on them.
So what did you end up serving?
Mashed potatoes.
Stupid. Hey, who said healthcare safety can't be fun anymore, Joe?
Yeah, Jill out west wrote, what happens when cranberries take too many over-the-counter sedatives and get depressed?
Oh, I don't know.
They turn into blueberries.
Oh, that's good. I got one. Somebody sent in, what kind of a glass does a turkey use when she takes her medication?
A shot glass?
Nope. No. A goblet.
Oh, all right. Why did the medical school turkey get such low grades after Thanksgiving?
Because he didn't know his stuffing.
That's good. No, because everything is marked down after the holidays.
Oh, everything's
that's pretty
marked
cool.
down after the holidays. Oh, and this one really happened, Joe. This is a true story. Bob and I were shopping last week, and we saw a lady picking through the frozen turkeys at the grocery store, but she couldn't find one big enough for her family, so she asked the stock boy, do these turkeys get any bigger? Do you remember that, Bob?
Yeah.
She goes, do these turkeys get any bigger? Do they get any bigger? And the stock boy comes out and he looks at her and he goes, ma'am, they're dead.
That's pretty awesome. If the Pilgrims were alive today, what would they be most famous for?
What do you think, Bob?
Maybe their age.
Yeah?
He's correct.
Oh, you got it.
I got one right.
Yay! Any more? Yeah, we need a clap.
Yeah. What would you get if you crossed Thanksgiving and Easter?
Gosh, I don't know.
Stuffed eggs?
Feaster Sunday.
Oh.
Feaster?
Yeah.
Feaster. I like it. Feaster Sunday. Hey, you know what? We should add a new segment to the show called The Dreaded Joke of the Week.
That'd be all right.
Should we do that? They're looking
if it's bad, I don't want to be the one.
Joe's the one that has to read them. Well, anyway, here's an email. I think it was from an anonymous person, but they did sign it Frida Bird. I don't know. It said, Pat, here is my Thanksgiving wish for you. May your stuffing be tasty. May your turkey plump. May your potatoes and gravies have nary a lump. May your yams be delicious and your pies take the prize. And may your Thanksgiving leftovers stay off your thighs. Well, Frida Bird, I'm still 112 pounds, so I think I did okay, but thanks for the wish. Have we had enough emails, you guys?
Yes.
That's enough.
Okay. Well, that must mean that it's time for the most requested radio game show of all times.
Fear the Wheelchair.
Well, by now you know that a hospital wheelchair is a high-touch, highly contaminated vehicle that seldom gets cleaned, making it capable of spreading infections all over the place. So the wheelchair is now this show's representation of all hospital dangers, kind of like our mascot. So here we go, once again, with everyone's favorite game.
Fear the Wheelchair.
Listen, as Joe reads some right or wrong statements, then even though I can't hear you, shout out your answers along with Bob. Is the statement right? Or is it wrong? Whoa. All right, Joe.
All right, here we go. Right or wrong, person-centered care requires lots of forms and paperwork.
What do you think, Bob?
I think that's right.
You think that... Okay. That's wrong.
Oh.
That's wrong.
Yeah, person-centered care requires lots of forms and paperwork. That is wrong. Person-centered care is a relationship-based approach to care that honors and respects the voice of elders and those working closest with them, aimed at putting care back in the word healthcare. Guess what, guys? It costs nothing to be empathetic and kind. And are you doing this to me on purpose?
No.
Are these correct?
I don't know if you're correct or not. Here we go again. We cannot seem to get this right, no matter what, even the turkeys.
Okay.
All right. How about the next one, Joe?
All right, right or wrong, research shows that the antibiotic Cipro is highly concentrated in brain fluid.
Do you have some Cipro in your brain fluid, Joe?
Must.
Yeah. Bob, is Cipro highly concentrated in brain fluid?
That's wrong.
Do you agree, Joe?
Sure.
Bob is wrong. Cipro is an antibiotic that does concentrate in brain fluid, which can then cause side effects that may mimic dementia. Be on the lookout for medication side effects no matter what you're taking.
Right or wrong, sharing hairbrushes and razors is okay as long as the other person is a family member.
What do you think, Bob?
I'm going to say right, but who knows?
What do you think, Joe?
I still haven't gotten a haircut since the last show.
You didn't get a haircut?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of my MRSA show I did?
That's right.
Joe will be never getting a haircut. His hair will be down to the ground, folks. I need to take a picture of this. All right, so sharing hairbrushes and razors. Is it okay? What'd we say?
I said right.
Okay. It is not okay. Many people silently carry staph bacteria on their skin without a problem. But when you share hairbrushes and razors, you can easily transfer that bacteria to your skin. So, Bob, stay away from my stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Right or wrong, alcohol is highly flammable and volatile.
What do you think, Bob?
Oh, that's right.
Joe?
That's right.
That is right. Yay, we got one right. And we talked about this when we discussed surgical fires. During a hospital stay, your doctor or nurse will use alcohol wipes to disinfect your skin prior to a procedure. However, it's extremely important that the alcohol dries completely before introducing anything hot or that might cause a spark. So prior to any surgical procedure, ask your doctor about the potential for a surgical fire.
All right, right or wrong, using different pharmacy chains is a good idea. It's a great way to get first-time discounts.
What do you think, Bobby?
Oh, that's definitely wrong.
Joe?
Oh, it's wrong.
It is wrong.
We had turkey. That's all I can tell you. We're right? Wait. Okay. I'll take that then.
We need a turkey there.
We do need a turkey.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you guys know why that is wrong? Why you shouldn't use a different pharmacy chain? When you do use the same pharmacy chain or the same pharmacy, if a newly prescribed medication interacts negatively with a current medicine, the pharmacy computer system will red flag it and bring it to the pharmacist's attention. And he or she will notify you. It's a great checks and balances system that doesn't cost anything, unlike the checks and balance system that we have going on here. Any more, Joe?
Yeah, hopefully this is the last one. Right or wrong, sanitizing is the same as disinfecting.
What do you think, Bobby?
I'm going to say right.
Joe?
Sure.
Sure, he says. It's wrong. Sanitizing and disinfecting is not the same thing. Sanitizing a surface reduces the soil and it removes some of the microbes, making it easier for the disinfectant to do its job. The guiding principle is always remove germs if possible rather than kill them, because you want to use the least toxic product that will do the job. In fact, a high-quality microfiber cloth can even remove large quantities of microbes, including hard-to-kill spores. We probably should go into the microfiber cloth business. What do you guys think?
Sure.
All right, I'll have to look into that. Remember, the more you know, the safer you'll be. And you heard about it here on Speak Up and Stay Alive Radio. Well, thank you guys for playing the ever crazy game and yet everyone's favorite game of...
Fear the Wheelchair, the Turkey Edition.
The Turkey Edition. You are... Which one of us is a turkey? You're listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive Radio. I am Pat Rulo, where the boys and I attempt to keep you safe during any healthcare or hospital encounter. Coming up, more of what you've come to expect, tips and tools to help you survive any healthcare or hospital encounter. Stay in your seat.
The holiday season is always a special time to reach out and share with others. Listen as I spend 2 minutes with Lisa Scottice Gallagher, the Director of Volunteers, as she explains how you can become an important part of someone's life by offering your time and interests as a Hospice of the Western Reserve volunteer. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Hi, Pat.
Lisa, volunteers are so vital to the mission and outreach provided by Hospice of the Western Reserve. How many volunteers do you currently have?
Well, Pat, we are very fortunate here at Hospice of the Western Reserve. We have over 2,000 volunteers, and they range between the ages of 13, and I believe our oldest volunteer who's serving right now is 92 years old. They come from various backgrounds and all different walks of life. Volunteers are equal members of the team, and they're really held to the same standards as paid staff. So what we do is we have a very comprehensive volunteer education classes that we offer to help them to be prepared to serve.
How do the volunteer education classes prepare these volunteers to support the mission?
Volunteers are really limited only by their imagination, so whatever it is that they want to serve in whatever capacity, we will prepare them through the volunteer education. If they want to work directly with patients and families, then they would go through a series of classes that totals 20 hours. Those classes will prepare them in the areas of communication, in death and dying, and to know what it is like to serve somebody who's at end of life. We have opportunities for them to learn about vigil, which is sitting with patients in their final hours, and certainly to learn some active listening skills. If volunteers want to work in an indirect way, still supporting the mission, but not directly at patients and families' bedside, then they go through 6 hours of education. And then after they go through their 6 hours of education, they can work in the community and our speakers bureau. Perhaps they would want to work at our resale shop. Volunteers last year provided over 60,000 hours of volunteer service, and we do equate that to a dollar amount. We're really happy to say that that was over $1.4 million of donated services. There is no minimum or maximum that a volunteer can serve. We're grateful for whatever time you have and whatever ways you're willing to serve.
Lisa, it sounds like there are so many wonderful opportunities. How can our listeners find out more?
Well, we have frequent daytime, evening, and weekend classes available, so I would ask that you call our volunteer office. That number is 216-486-6881, or you could also visit hospicewr.org/volunteers.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Lisa.
Thank you very much, Pat. It's my pleasure.
Jingle bell, that's the jingle bell rock.
You are listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive Radio. I am Pat Rulo, your hostess and author of the book Speak Up and Stay Alive, the Patient Advocate Hospital Survival Guide, available only at our website, speakupandstayalive.com. Because it is the holiday season, many of us travel to visit loved ones, and this makes me think about our healthcare safety when it comes to air travel. So I thought I'd share my top tips in this week's Oh Moment. Here they are. Do not fly soon after surgery. The change in atmospheric pressure may impede the healing process. Try not to travel if you have a head cold or sinus infection. The cabin pressure can make the symptoms worse. Keep all medications with you on board and always bring a summary of your medical history with you. If something should happen in flight, having a list of allergies, medications, and doctor phone numbers and emergency contact numbers could prove invaluable. And be aware of something called deep vein thrombosis. It is a blood clot in a deep vein, commonly in the legs, and it's life-threatening because a piece of the clot can break off and travel to the lungs where it can cause a pulmonary embolism, and that's a blockage of the main artery to the lungs. Studies suggest that the risk of deep vein thrombosis may double after 4 hours of flying. The main cause appears to be prolonged immobility, so there's also that same risk if you sit for long periods on a car or train or bus journey, or even at home or in the office. Wear comfortable soft shoes that you could slip on and off so that your feet do not swell during the flight. And also wear loose and comfortable fitting clothing, avoid tight belts and waistbands, and leave your seat every hour and walk up and down the aisle. And when you're in your seat, do ankle and foot exercises and try to move your legs as much as possible. Think twice about reserving those exit row seats, because sometimes the advantage of that extra leg room is outweighed by armrests that do not raise and seats that don't recline, making it difficult to get comfortable. The same goes for the last row. The seats may not recline, and if they are near the toilets, you could be in trouble by noise and smell. Stretch your arms and your head and your back and your neck. Not only will this help keep the blood flowing, but it will alleviate the cramping and the pains that come from sitting for an extended period of time. And because the air is so dry when you fly, do not drink alcohol. Drink lots of water to avoid headaches. Pass on the ice cubes and drink only bottled water. I've heard nasty stories about the quality of airplane ice cubes. Plus, the source of drinking water on planes is usually the municipal water supply of the airport where the water is boarded. Water is loaded into aircraft tanks via pipes and hoses from public water sources or from water tanker trucks, which suggests to me the potential for microbial pathogens. And airline food, it's too sugary, salty, and basically unhealthy. Bring your own healthy snacks and load up on vitamins a few weeks before you travel and before you board. Fresh air is a foreign concept on long flights, and you may be susceptible to airborne infections or disease. And with that in mind, pack a baggie of bleach wipes and hand sanitizer. Wipe down your seat, the seat belt, front magazine pocket, and especially the tray table. Remember what we learned a few weeks ago. MRSA, a staph bacteria, was found on 40% of airplane tray tables. After disinfecting, toss the wipes and use the hand sanitizer to clean your hands. Well, those are just a few of my top tips for safe flying. They're not hard to do. This way, you'll arrive at your destination ready for all the fun and fabulousness the holidays have to offer. Well, today I shared some ideas about drug-induced dementia. Always know the side effects of your medication. And our guest, Bonnie Kantor-Burman, the director of the Ohio Department of Aging, talked about patient-centered care. And I mentioned several times today that I think the holidays are the perfect time to stop and spend some quality time with your older loved ones and assess their medications, their legal needs, and their living needs. And let me extend a special thank you to some of the beautiful people who helped sponsor this program. Hospice of the Western Reserve, the attorneys at Schraff and King, and Darrel Hicks Infection Prevention for Dummies. I appreciate their expertise and certainly encourage everyone listening to support the efforts of these fine folks. And listen next week when we continue to bring you all the vital healthcare safety news you've come to expect. And tell all of your family and friends to tune in. That's next Saturday morning, where you can find us 2 times from 7 to 8 Eastern on 1420 WHK and from 9 to 10 Eastern on AM1220 WHKW. And you can always listen online via the internet from wherever you're visiting on WHKradio.com at 7 and WHKWradio.com at 9. I am Pat Rouleau. That's me, your guide to safe and successful healthcare and hospital encounters.
The information provided in today's broadcast is for informational purposes only and was not intended for use as diagnosis or treatment of a health problem or as a substitute for consulting a licensed medical professional. Participating as a program listener, guest, or caller should not be considered medical advice. References to any entity, product, service, website, or source of information should not be considered as an endorsement. If you missed part of today's show or just want to share the information with friends, you can download a copy of the show at speakupandstayalive.com. That's speakupandstayalive.com. Want even more information? Purchase a copy of Pat's book at the Speak Up and Stay Alive website. Once again, it's speakupandstayalive.com.
This is Pat Rulo. When you get a chance, become a friend and like us on Facebook. We're called Speak Up and Stay Alive. Then post your questions and comments on our Facebook wall. We may read them next week. Who else do you know who can benefit from this life-saving information? You can keep your group, club, business, or church safe from hospital hazards. I speak live and in person, too. Our events are fun, fast-paced, interactive, and jam-packed with serious information. Your crowd will love it. Just email me at speakupandstayalive.com or call 440-725-5462. Until next week, remember to ask others to wash their hands. You have to speak up and stay alive. Call me, email me.
Survive.